Welcome, everyone. This is our Wednesday Wisdom, where we go over tips, tricks, and information on band instrument repair. Today, we're going to give you a preview of one of our illustrious clinicians for the Sax SmackDown, Mr. Jeff Peterson. We do have a hashtag for you today. That is going to be Sax SmackDown. Make sure you put that down in the comments below. That's going to give you a chance to win a discount on the entrance fee for the Sax SmackDown. We do have a schedule up, and Jeff is going to be on the second day in the afternoon. We put him in the afternoon because he is from the West Coast. I know, Ryan, you're going to be...
I'm early. I'm an East Coast guy. I get it. My clinic starts at 4:30 in the morning. Night vision goggles are included. It's going to be dark.
It's going to be dark, but we will have lights on for you. We'll
have lights on. No heat, though.
No,
but plenty of lights.
We are then after Ryan's clinic and on the second day in Jeff's clinic, we are going to have a, can I get to this? Is it going to work?
There we are.
Oh, there we go. In the afternoon, there's two of Ryan.
There's double Ryan again.
Have a panel discussion with Jeff and the rest of the clinicians and the topics we will make up. And so we're thinking about live streaming that as well. So we'll figure out how to do that, and you'll hear more about that soon. And we also have a couple of courses coming up and a couple of events that you can see right there. We have one of Ryan's courses coming up on padding, and then we also have our SmackDown on the 23rd and 24th. So let us get to our guest of honor, Mr. Jeff Peterson. Jeff, of course, is the managing director. Is it managing director? He's
Directing manager.
Directing manager. He is the head of R&D.
Actually, it's senior manager of Atelier-Los.
Senior manager of Atelier-Los at the Yamaha Corporation of America. He is based out of Los Angeles, California. He's also a past president of NAPPERT, and he is also the previous owner of the, I'm going to forget it.
Horn Improvement.
He is
Horn Improvement.
The previous owner of Horn Improvement out of Mission Vallejo. Is that, do I have it right?
Vallejo.
Vallejo. Thank you. Thank you so much.
God,
That was a pretty good East Coast stab at it, though. I think.
I was gonna say these East Coast guys, man.
But J-Ho. But J-Ho.
Jeff, why don't you tell us just a little bit about your history of how you got started into repair, and then as well as how you got hooked up with Yamaha. And then, and Leroy, you're also here, and I know you guys have a history too. So if you could, each of you guys could tell us a little bit about that, and then we'll talk about your clinic.
Sure. Okay. Well, yeah, I was always that kid that took my toys apart and tried to make them better, put them back together and all that. So, you know, that led through toys, bicycles, cars, horns, you know, pretty much anything I had. I was that guy. And you know, my parents said, gosh, we'd buy you a brand new whatever for Christmas, and you'd take it apart, you know, and they were kind of bummed. But anyway, it's worked out well. I started taking saxophone in 6th grade band, and then 8th grade, I started faking clarinet through the intermediate band. I was playing sax in the advanced band, the jazz band, and somewhere along life's travels, I started to make flute more than something to put my mouthpiece cap on while I'm in, you know, on the stand there. And but back in the day, back before YouTube and MusicMedic and all these great resources, repair was kind of a mystery. I mean, what is shellac and where do you get it and how does it happen? It was just kind of this secret thing that happened in the back of music stores. I didn't really know where to get started. I had a guy named Bill Orr that repaired my saxophone when I was gigging. And that was, I had my sax repaired at a few different people, but I took it to Bill Orr and I go, oh my gosh, what did he do? This thing smokes. And I begged him to teach me how to do it. And he said he didn't have the patience. So I ended up you know, besides my own dabblings, I took a little course at a local junior college that kind of taught you enough to be dangerous. It was more hobbyist, spending a semester overhauling a clarinet on Monday nights. But I learned where to get stuff and you know, just some of the basic practices. I read every book I could find on the subject, and then started doing it, and started had some music stores that would sub out their repairs to me. And what was crazy about being largely self-taught in an information void place is I was absolutely paranoid that I was doing it wrong or I wasn't doing it well enough. And so, you know, I'd be doing rental horns for some company and I'm thinking every key has to be perfect and every pad has to be, because that's what the book said the ideal is. So I'm building to an unrealistic ideal. And that it helped me in the long run because my main goal was, you know, I started working on horns for people that I was gigging with and they really liked what I was doing and my clientele grew quite quickly. They would go play a gig with somebody better than us. And that person would, and another, and you know, finally I'm doing all these LA studio musicians and things like that, and getting a real good clientele. So this little inborn paranoia kind of helped me raise the bar to unrealistic levels for what I was doing at the time. It turned out to be the perfect level for what I ended up doing. So yeah, that was kind of how that went.
Okay, so that is kind of your beginnings, and then tell us a little bit about the horn improvement business and how you got hooked up with Leroy.
Oh yeah, as I started my little repair business out of my garage, like many people do, it's you know, set up some parts, get some tools, and you can pick up and drop off and have clients drop by. Then I went and worked at a couple of different music stores, either running a one-man shop or managing several technicians. And then finally I was running a shop for a store and they got a little mismanaged and went sideways and they were rapidly going away. And so that's when I got the idea to go down the street and around the corner and start my own thing. And that was horn improvement. Because my whole idea was improving it. We're not just going to fix it, we're going to improve it. So any horn you got, we're going to improve your horn. And a little play on words with home improvement, of course. And so that started off with myself and 1.5 employees and not much money, and exploded. Another music store in the area had gone away like a year or two before, and then the one I was managing repair shop for went away. And it was really a blessing to kind of step into a real void. And we took on school service work, but my main focus and passion was always the pro woodwind stuff. And so we were kind of a weird mix that we would have some prominent LA studio musician picking up their horn while little Johnny and Susie are renting out their first clarinet or whatever. And it was just coming and going. It was kind of cool, you know, to just have that blend. And it was really hard finding technicians as I expanded, and especially finding technicians that would do it my way. There were a lot of people out there with a hammer and an attitude that couldn't quite get it to what I wanted it to be. And Leroy was working up in Northern California, and he came down, and it was a great hire. He was so much fun to work with and very receptive to doing things the way I do it, and really had a passion, cared about what he did, and, you know, fit in really, really, really well. And we had and then Mike Cleveland came out of that. He's really built a great reputation on the West Coast. You know, he was doing Wayne Shorter's work. He does stuff for Marienthal, great guy. And he was my, you know, Kurt and I have a joke about the tone hole guy, because once I hired a few people, by necessity, I had a guy quit on me in busy season, and and I had all these pro overhauls lined up. You know, I was doing like 1 or 2 a month is all I could do, plus with all the other work and running the store.
Sure.
And I'm dead in the water. And so I had, Mike was just selling reeds. He was like 18 or something. And I said, hey kid, come here. This is how you level a tone hole. You know, this is how you clean a horn. And I step by step taught him the process until he was bringing me finished pro overhauls, learning one step. And so Kurt and I were talking 20 years ago about something, and I said, "Oh yeah, I had my tone hole guy do it." He goes, "Well, Peterson's got a tone hole guy. Wait a minute." And now I look at Mr. Uberhall assembly line and I said, you got more than a tone hole guy. Taught me and raised me, man. So yeah, so I had great guys like Leroy and Mike, and just so many come from there. And that business was really being blessed every year and exploding, and thought I had my dream job, running a shop, doing things my way. And then my good friend Greg Vale, fine saxophonist, came in the door and he said, "Hey, Yamaha's closing their custom shop in Grand Rapids and moving it out to Buena Park. Thought you might want to know." And it was like weird, you know, when you're going 80 miles an hour down the freeway and then there's an off ramp that's exactly where you want to go. It's kind of hairy. So I ended up like a month later, I was at a NAPPERT convention, and ran into Wayne Tanabe, who I'd known for years. I said, "Hey, Wayne, I know you sold the brass bow." That was his shop in Chicago, and went to work for Yamaha in New York at their atelier. And said, "How's that been?" He says, "Oh, it's a great move. I love it." And he says, "Hey, I don't know California very well. How far are you from Buena Park?" I said, "It's a half hour down the freeway." He goes, "Oh, I'll be in a conversation next week." And so one thing led to another. I ended up going to work for Yamaha, managing the Atelier-Los Angeles. Atelier is just a word for custom shop. And we have in the US, we have the Atelier-Los Angeles, and the one in Manhattan at 54th and 5th. Yeah. As part of a global network. We have another one in Tokyo and Osaka, and Hamburg and Vienna. And then there's some smaller ones coming up through the ateliers, but we're the ones that are involved in R&D. And so what we do at the ateliers is research and development. We're always working to improve our wind instrument models, and sometimes develop a new model. And so we're working with great artists on developing, on research and development, and also artist support. If we do a lot of customization, personalization, because the top level orchestral, jazz soloists, studio musicians are going to want some degree of personalization to get the instrument to do exactly what they need it to do. And so I did that for 15 years. About a year and a half ago, after Bob Malone retired, then I was promoted to oversee the LA and New York ateliers. And that's just really a blessing, because the team there is just world-class folks in woodwind and brass, and I learned so much from interacting with them day in, day out. So yeah, that's the story.
That's excellent. So are you splitting your time between Los Angeles and New York, or are you just overseeing the New York?
I go to New York once or twice a year.
Okay.
We have such an outstanding team there. You know, it's just to check in, and if I have specific projects, artists I want to meet that I'm doing, I'll go there for a specific reason. But they're doing great, and sometimes they'll come out here and help me out with this particular thing, or you know, with brass artists, Wayne Tanabe and Jim Becker will come out here and do things with brass. So yeah, we're kind of like one big shop in two locations, and it really works out well.
That's excellent.
Because we see a lot of the same artists. They're bopping here and there and going to Japan and Europe and what have you. And it's the same.
So when the top woodwind Yamaha artists are on the West Coast, they're coming to your shop to have their instruments serviced, and you're overseeing all of that as well. Is that right?
Yeah. And yeah, and we do some service, but most of it's you know, we don't have the bandwidth to overhaul everybody's But we'll do some touch-ups to keep them in the game as time allows. And then we do the customization and instrument selection and a lot of that kind of thing. So,
Wow, excellent. Very cool. Okay. Oh, that's awesome, man. And tell me about the NAMM show just very briefly. Is Yamaha going to still have their presence at the NAMM show this year in a couple of weeks? Are you going to be there?
oh yeah, the NAMM show has fortunately, Yamaha has the kind of home court advantage because it's like 3 exits down the freeway from Buena Park. So that's it's kind of an all hands on deck. We used to display over in the Marriott, over in this gigantic ballroom. And then in recent years, we moved up to the 3rd floor. We got a pretty good sized room on the 3rd floor. It's a little more intimate than the big ballroom in the Marriott, but it's more accessible because you can just blow up the elevator don't blow up the elevator. Push the buttons appropriately and go up to the 3rd floor. And I really like the vibe, the decor. It's really cool. And we have an artist stage in the middle. We've got performances going on all the time, and a good display of product. And then the Saturday of NAMM, we're hosting a NAPPERT regional clinic. I've got all Yamaha clinicians for that. Wayne Tanabe and Annie Roberts, Tomoji Hirokata, and Jim Becker are all doing clinics here. And it's kind of exciting because NAMM's been in limbo for the last few years, with moving the date, moving the time, that now it's finally back onto January. And we've hosted that regional clinic for years. And now, through COVID and then the weird damnness, it's been off for a few years, but we're glad to take it back in-house. And it coincides with our brand new atelier. Yamaha Corporation of America is completely rebuilding their whole the whole office thing, and they've leveled where our old atelier is, and we're right across the alley where they've added on to an existing building. And the atelier is brand new, and I spent all the time planning that out and figuring out where the electrical goes and this bench. And we moved this summer, but I'm glad to have things a lot more organized. So anyway, anyone that comes to that will get to see the brand new digs, and it's working out pretty cool.
And that's going to be on Saturday, the 27th?
Yeah, that's the Saturday of NAMM. So I'll be running around the show on Thursday, Friday, and then I don't spend a lot of time in the booth. I'm mostly poking around, seeing what the rest of the world's up to, and but occasionally in the booth. And then Saturday I'll be over hosting the NAMM thing at the Yamaha Buena Park campus.
Excellent. Very cool. Wow, that's awesome, man. Well, Jeff, thank you so much for that excellent introduction. I'm glad that you're going to be at NAMM. NAMM is back, and we're really excited to have you here at MusicMedic the following month. Would you be so kind as to tell us about the clinic that you're going to be doing on the second day of the SmackDown, and kind of what it encompasses, and give us a brief overview of what the attendees are going to learn in your clinic?
No, it's top secret.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Jeff. We'll see you.
They have to come to know what's going on.
You know what? I love hanging out with the MusicMedic folks because we all like to have a good time. So anyway, I had to throw you a curveball there. But anyway, yeah, looking forward to geeking out with all my fellow saxophonists. What a great lineup you guys have. And I remember from doing the first SmackDown eons ago, just the enthusiasm that all the participants brought just makes, it's even more than the clinics. It's on the breaks, geeking out and having fun with saxophones. So really looking forward to that. What I try to cover in my clinic is little thing, kind of like what my friend Gabe Eaton was talking about last year, was things that you wish that somebody else told you. You know, being self-taught, I tried anything and everything, and you know, found, like Thomas Edison found 100 ways to not make a light bulb before he got one that worked. I've tried a lot of things that didn't work well for me, so I try to shortcut that path for people, and say, you know, these are some things that really work well for me. And I tend to focus on a lot of the overlooked things. I think a lot of us as technicians get too excited about the flashy stuff, and we forget little things like a leak light. We get so used to, you know, with clarinets and flutes, you spend a lot more time with the feeler gauge, and use the leak light as appropriate. But the saxophone and the, you know, fluorescent tube or whatever we're using now, leak light has just become such a thing that as technicians we'll forget that the object of the game is not to make the light go out. The object is to make the pad seal. Now, having the light disappear and having the pad seal, there's a lot of overlap there, but they're not the same thing. And I'll see people kind of flap side keys quickly, because if the spring slams the pad shut on the side key or palm key, it's going to make the light go out. Yay, let's go eat lunch. But if they release it slowly, you say, oh man, that spring's kind of hung up in the groove, or there's a little bit of weirdness on the key fitting where it turns in the post until the last minute, and then it kind of hangs and it looks like it's closed, but it's not closed, or that pad's really overseated. And so anyway, things like that, just concepts to help us all try and do a better job more quickly. And I have a lot of procedures I've kind of dialed back what's good enough, you know, after beating myself up for so many years. Okay, what is realistic, and what is really the hill to die on that we absolutely have to keep doing until it's right. So yeah.
Okay, very good.
Very cool.
Tell me about overseating. What is overseating, and how do you overcome overseating for those of us who are amateurs who might
overseating is when your lawn dies and you have to get a different kind of grass so it looks green in the winter. No, that's overseeding.
That's the wrong one.
I get those mixed up all the time. Okay. Overseating, yes. What we call a pad seat is where you've got your tone hole edge, and then the pad comes down and interfaces with the tone hole, right? And if we start to get a real deep impression in the pad, the light, we can't really see what's going on in there. If it's a light seat, just a small impression in the pad, we can generally see if the light is escaping. But as it crushes down, you might have this kind of thing that's blocking the light but not blocking the air leak. So it's something to watch for, and something you can find with a feeler gauge, and you kind of got to know, and you have to be smart about it. You know, I'm not going to go through every pad all the way around with a feeler gauge, but hey, that one looks kind of suspect. Maybe we should, it's worthy of further investigation, and be aware of that kind of thing.
Okay, very good. What about, are they going to need to bring any special equipment? Are they going to have, you know, are you going to have any handouts or live demonstrations that they need to be prepared for in any way?
Yeah, pretty much just the hefty bags for the front row for when I smash the watermelon.
I'll make sure to bring the safety. I'll make sure to bring the safety goggles too.
Yeah. Actually, most of what I do is going to be, you'll see big shiny pictures on the PowerPoint, and I'll bring some tools and parts to pass around and look at. But for the most part, it's going to be delivering the information and answering the questions that pop up through that. And everybody out there, please do bring your questions. or if you're in the middle of the thing, and you have a question, don't be thinking, oh, I don't want to ask that, or people think I'm dumb. No, because when you ask the question, there's always 8 other people that's, I'm so glad he asked that. So, and I think questions can help a presenter so much, because getting the audience feedback, okay, out of the information we brought, what's resonating, what's not, what's clear, what's confusing. And I don't want anybody leaving my clinic scratching their head wondering what the heck. I think bring that question and leave there feeling informed and empowered.
Excellent.
Yeah, they're not going to leave my clinic scratching their heads unless they get psoriasis or something.
Well, Jeff, thank you so much for being here. We're going to sign off for right now. We're really looking forward to having everybody come to see your clinic and to meeting and talking with you on the breaks. Are you also going to have a couple of Yamaha instruments with you?
Yeah, I think that'll be fun. I'll bring a smattering of fun and interesting things that we're making these days, and yeah, so people can try some horns and check it out, and yeah, it'll be a great time for saxophonists all. Yeah.
Yes, it will.
And not to boost Jeff's promotion even more, but from working with this guy for a while and just kind of knowing his thought mentality and his thought process, the way he'll push you to think outside the box, and the tips and tricks that he'll give you. If you've never gone to one of his clinics or haven't had a chance to, if you do, I can't encourage you enough to do it, because working beside this guy for a number of years, he is a wealth of knowledge and he is open to almost anything. And if he knows something doesn't work, he'll tell you. He won't have you waste your time. But if there's something where it's like you have a good idea and it's either he hasn't tried it, or if it's something he thinks it might work, he will tell you to go for it and do it. And usually at that point, it's usually going to be good. But yeah, anything that you hear from Jeff is always going to be an awesome experience.
Very good. All right. Wow, that's
Looking
good.
forward to it. But
Yeah.
now I'm excited for it. I wasn't before.
Wow, checks in the mail, Leroy. Thanks for that.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for being here, Jeff. We're going to sign up. We're going to make sure everybody makes hold on, let me close.
Take 2. We're gonna
Hey,
take
right there.
We're gonna start off.
Use your words. Use your words, Rich.
Make sure you guys take that hashtag, put that in the comments below. That's going to give you a chance to win a discount on the Sax SmackDown. And you can check all of the other information out on our education section of MusicMedic.com. That's going to do it for right now. So we're going to sign off. And until next time, happy repairing.
Looking forward to it. See you there.